Hey y'all, it's Ilana and welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year! This is the first video of 2021, so I thought I'd start off with a little bonus Friday and do a dating related video. And this is going to be me ranking all the guys that I've dated / hooked up with. Okay, not all of them are mentioned. I'm never gonna reveal my number. But if you're new to my channel, hi, welcome. I post content about what it's like to navigate life and dating in San Francisco. So if you're single, or maybe you live in the Bay Area, wherever the case may be, go ahead and subscribe down below because I think you'll really like it here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. Before I jump into all the guys, I should probably just go over the tiers. So we have, would go for it again, maybe give a second chance, nah, but I learned a lot, not proud of it to begin with, and then finally, you're dead to me. As you can see, I have like a bunch of random pictures, and this is to kind of represent how I want to identify the guys while still having them anonymous because I would never use their real pictures. So with that being said, let's rank guy number one. So as you can see, there's a picture of aviator sunglasses, and this represents the first guy that I actually went out with in San Francisco, and he wore aviators on our first date. So I remember this guy. Yeah, he was the first one, and I slept with him on our second or third date. I saw him a total of 3 times, and the second time wasn't even a date. He just like met up with me when I was out with friends, which really surprised me. But anyway, so I wasn't really a fan of him just because I didn't feel very respected by him. And he was also kind of smothering. He always like threw compliments at me saying how cute I was, and that just goes to show you that he really just only cared about my body and nothing else. And it wasn't until a couple months later where he slid into my DMs on Instagram on the 4th of July asking if I would kiss him underneath the fireworks tonight. And I was just like, sir, what? You literally stopped talking to me and now you're gonna come back? Anyway, I'm going to put him underneath, not proud of to begin with, because I felt like I could kind of do a little bit better, and I didn't realize what my worth was with this guy, and yeah. Okay, let's go to the next one. This represents Virgin. Okay, so I put this with the Virgin logo because I took this guy's virginity in college, and yeah, that was a first for me. So this was a guy that I rebounded with after my ex and I broke up, and this is like a whole messy story. I actually mentioned him in a Guys That Broke My Heart video, so that's a really old video. But anyways, yeah, so this guy literally played me like Boo Boo the Fool, and I felt like a huge idiot with this guy. So I'm going to put him as no, but I learned a lot. I think with this situation, I really discovered that if a guy is not into you and tells you he's not into you, and then also takes advantage of you and sleeps with you after he says he's not even into you to begin with, that can be a good wake-up call to realize, know your worth and don't chase after guys who are not into you, and don't let them take advantage of you. So that was a big learning lesson for me for sure. This next picture is a picture from Star album. They're this random, okay, I don't want to say random, it's an indie band, and I didn't know about this band until I went out with this guy. So a first date, we went to grab some glasses of wine, and then we went to this Star concert, and it was very inexpensive. So it was a really fun date, and this guy brought me back to his place. It was very cold at night. I was super poor, didn't have money for an Uber, and I had to take a bus back. So I was trying to get out of the cold so we could go back to his place and I could find out whether or not how I was getting home. So he really wanted me to stay, and he tried to kiss me, and I really wasn't feeling it. I was deep in contest prep, and my sex drive was so low, and the thought of kissing a guy sounded really exhausting, and he probably thought that I rejected him, and I wasn't trying to reject him, I just didn't want to do it that night. So we never saw each other ever again after that, but I'm going to put him, maybe give him a second chance. He was very nice, but I don't know what happened. I guess he just felt very rejected, so he didn't bother contacting me afterwards. This next picture is a cross. So I went out with this guy here who is Catholic, and I always felt very insecure about him being a Catholic because he seemed pretty religious, and I felt like me being Jewish was going to be a big issue for him. And he kept trying to say, no, that's not going to be an issue for me. That's not going to be an issue for me. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. He had a little bit of arrogance to him, but he also did treat me really nice. I think he was just kind of more arrogant in the bedroom, if anything, really. But he ended the situationship because he thought that I wanted something serious, even though I told him in the beginning I was looking for something serious. And he didn't really give me any kind of clarity on what happened. So I am just going to say, I would say maybe give a second chance. I thought he was really cool, but at the same time, I really wish I knew why he was not interested in me all of a sudden. And if he were to ever come back around, I really would consider giving it another chance. All right, Airbnb. I think we all know what this one means. So this was a guy that I just simply hooked up with and never dated. I made a whole video about this, how I hooked up with my Airbnb host. It is a great video, and I did not expect it to get the amount of views that it got. But anyway, this whole experience, this guy was really cool. I had a very good connection with him, and he still follows me on Instagram and watch my stories from time to time, which is really funny if he's watching this video. Hey! Yeah, I think it's safe to say that I would definitely go for this again. That was a great experience. That man knew what he was doing in the bedroom. 10 out of 10. Recommend. Yes, I would go for this again. Okay, so this next picture is Wells Fargo. So this is a guy who worked at Wells Fargo that I went out with. This is a guy who I actually was not into and gave this guy a second date when I shouldn't have. And it sucked because he was very nice, but I just simply didn't feel a connection. So I'm going to put him underneath not proud of it to begin with, only because I should have never given him a second chance when I wasn't feeling it, and I'm not proud of that. So that's where he's going. The Australian flag. So this is about a guy who I went out with who is from Australia, and this happened earlier this year. This guy really hurt me after he ended things so abruptly. We were going out for 2 months, and we were okay with just being casual, and I really was into him. So I think one thing that sucked is I think part of me wanted to see if he was going to feel something more, because I remember him saying if he was feeling something more with me, he would let me know. And we also had a conversation that if one of us wanted a relationship after trying to be casual, we needed to speak up about it. Our intentions were not completely aligned when we first started, and then we decided to compromise our intentions for each other, and that was a whole mess in itself. So I'm gonna say no, but I learned a lot. And that is where I realized, start asking people what their intentions are and how long they've been single for before you go on a date with them, so you don't waste any time. So this is the Italy flag, and I went out with this one Italian guy. We went out one time, we had a nice night out, we went to the Tonga room, and it was really fun, but there was just simply no connection there. But he was a very nice guy. Where do I put him? I'll say maybe give him a second chance. Only because I think he was very shy and he was very new to the city. His English was perfectly fine, by the way, but I think maybe it was the kind of activity that we did where we didn't really get to sit down and know each other. So I would actually be curious to see if maybe going out one more time would ever spark any kind of interest in me. I doubt it, but I don't think I really learned anything from this relationship, and it's not like I wasn't unproud of it. Like, nothing bad happened out of the situation, so that's why I'm gonna put him as maybe give him a second chance. This is a picture of what's supposed to be steroids. So this actually represents a guy that I actually slept with a couple of months ago. This was my roommate's best friend. And he was really, really freaking annoying. So he kept messing with me about how I was a bodybuilder, kept asking me if I was doing any steroids, which I do not, by the way. I'm all natural. And he would joke around how he does steroids, blah, blah, blah. And it was just so irritating how he kept messing with me about this. And that's why I gave him the picture of steroids. We had mediocre sex and we talked for a little bit. I mean, he did want a relationship, so we were on the same page, which is why we tried to talk a couple weeks after we slept with one another. And this guy barely made effort with me. I was always the one initiating a conversation. We never got to go on dates. He was always working, and I was getting frustrated, and I was actually ready to end this. So the day after my competition, he was going to come over that night, and I thought maybe him coming over would maybe change things and maybe everything would be okay. And then he just flat out said that he wasn't interested in me in front of my roommates who could hear, and it was really humiliating and disrespectful. So him and my roommate walked out of the house to take a walk to cool down, and I texted him and I said, when you get back, I want to talk to you because I was absolutely humiliating and disrespectful. So we talked when he came back. I got my clarity that I needed, and that was that. I've deleted his number, so this guy is going under you're dead to me, sir. Bye. So we got an Ireland flag. I went out with this Irish guy a couple years ago, and he did not make a great impression on me at all. We went to Anina, which is this really cute bar in Hayes Valley, and he was just arrogant and negative, and I did not care to see him ever again. So I think it's quite obvious to say that I'm also gonna put him under you're dead to me. All right, Five Guys. So this represents a guy that I was talking to for a little bit in college, and he worked at Five Guys. He was a manager of some sort. So I took this guy to my formal. My friend set me up with him because she was dating his brother, and I was panicking on who I wanted to take to my last formal ever because this was during my senior year of college. So we started talking. We did hook up once, and we did chat, and then this ended really badly because I got a little needy, and I poorly expressed to him how he wasn't making any time for me, and I got very frustrated, and this whole conversation blew up in my face. He reacted very poorly to it. Can't say I blame him. I am going to say not proud of it to begin with. I thought this guy was a huge troublemaker. He was a bad boy, and I just felt like, girl, you can do so much better than that. So yeah. All right, a red X. I think it's kind of obvious what this one means. So this represents my ex-boyfriend. So my ex-boyfriend is married. He just had a baby. Him and I had a very toxic breakup, but our relationship wasn't toxic. And I made a whole video about how and why he broke up with me. Okay, not the how, but the reasons as to why he broke up with me. If you want to go read those breakup letters, I'll have the video linked up right here for you to watch. It's interesting because there are two places where I want to put my ex. Part of me wants to put him under you're dead to me because I don't talk to him. But at the same time, I want to put nah, but I learned a lot. And I feel like I should probably put him under nah, but I learned a lot. Obviously, I would not give my ex a second chance ever again. We just simply were not right for each other, but I really did learn a lot from this relationship. It was my first and only relationship. I was very young at the time. There was a lot to learn. I was also very immature in this relationship. So yeah, I think it makes sense to put him there. All right, so we got motorcycle. So I went out with this guy who had a motorcycle, and our second date, we went to see The Greatest Showman at the Yerba Buena Cinema downtown. And he picked me up at my house on his motorcycle, so I got to ride a motorcycle for the first time. It was pretty romantic. I never kissed him, nothing ever happened, but he ended it with me because he just felt more friendship vibes between us, and I said, you know what, that's okay, no big deal. I wasn't too hurt by this guy. He was very, very kind. So I'm gonna say maybe give him a second chance because he was very nice and I felt like he was very polite and respectful, so that's where we're gonna put him. Alrighty, so now we have United States Navy. So this is more of a hookup. I had a one-night stand, my first one-night stand in college, and it was a guy that I met at a really trashy bar that I went to in college, and he was in the Navy, not a student, and I just wanted to have sex with him, and I was very successful with accomplishing that goal that night. I went back to his place, and yeah, you know what happened. So he was definitely, He was something, but I did not want to talk to him ever again. I just wanted sex and that was it. I didn't want him hitting me up anytime after that. So I am going to put him under not proud of it to begin with, just because I just felt really gross after hooking up with him. And it wasn't because I had a one-night stand. That's not the thing. I just was like, ugh, I can't believe I had sex with him. What was I thinking? Anyway, sometimes when you're horny, you just kind of gotta get the deed done, and that's basically what happened that night. Okay, so this is a guy in a shirt. This is gonna represent a guy who has his own fashion startup, and we went out 2 times. He had just gone out of a relationship, so I knew like this wasn't gonna turn into anything serious. We got a lot of drinks on our second date, and he was fun, but we had such mediocre sex. It was so bad. I am going to put him under not proud of it to begin with, just because there wasn't anything that I like learned from this experience, and I'm really not interested in giving him a second chance just because I found him to be kind of boring. Even though we did have good conversations, I don't know. I don't think he was my person, so I'm gonna put him under not proud of it to begin with. So then here we have the Kentucky sign. So this is the only guy that I ever dated when I was in Kentucky. We dated for about 2 months. I met him at a speed dating event, and he stood me up on Valentine's Day. So I'm going to put him under you're dead to me, because that's just absolutely unforgivable. And to be honest, I think I realized I wasn't really feeling it. I was just kind of lonely at the time and really just wanted connection because grad school was such a dark place in my life. So yeah, lesson learned. And here we have SF Giants. So I went out with this guy, and on our second date, we went to a Giants game, and that was such a fun date. Baseball games, y'all, are great dates, by the way. So I went back to his place, and we had sex, and it was great. But after this night, I texted him to see if he wanted to hang out with me, and he was unavailable because he was moving into a new apartment. And then afterwards, there was a mutual opt-out where I didn't text him, he didn't text me. And I really want to kick myself, because if you like somebody, you should text them until they tell you that they don't want to see you. So yeah, I let this one slide, and I want to kick myself for it. So I want to say I would go for it again. I really liked him. He was really nice. He was really funny, pretty decent in bed. So yeah, we would go for this again. All right, we got 2 more guys. So U.S. Army. So this is a guy that I went out with for a couple months in college. Really broke my heart. Just a terrible personality. All sorts of red flags. This was actually a really toxic relationship. I am going to say nah, but I learned a lot just because there was a big learning lesson here. He kept telling me that he didn't want a relationship, but he wanted to keep seeing me, and I didn't know my worth at the time, and I didn't know how to step away from this. So that was a big thing that I learned. So finally we have Greek life. So this represents a guy that I used to be friends with. He was in a fraternity, which is why I put him under Greek life. He's married now. Yeah, so he always had feelings for me. We were friends, and I decided, okay, you know what? Let's give it a try. I decided that I liked him too, even though I really just saw him as a friend, and I felt like I was just settling for less than what I deserved. So I have to put him under not proud of it to begin with, because that is just something you should not do. If you are not into somebody and somebody is into you, don't give them a chance. If you don't like somebody, do not move forward and hurt that person. So we both kind of got hurt in this situation. We don't really talk anymore. So yeah, this is it. So we got 2 and would go for it again, 4 and maybe give a second chance, 4 and nah, but I learned a lot, 6 and not proud of it to begin with, and then 3 and you're dead to me. So yeah, that was really fun. I hope you enjoyed this fun video. I know this is like a trending thing on YouTube right now. Other YouTubers have done it, so I thought it'd be fun if I did my own take on it. If you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next week with a brand new video about San Francisco. Bye!